This week on A Brit in Poland, I take you to the Pieniny Mountains in the south of Poland. These are kind of nestled between the Bieszczady Mountains in the southeast and the Tatry Mountains in the kind of central south. Some would say they are the most beautiful mountains in Poland. And in this video, we are going to explore the kind of eastern part, I think known as like Małe Pieniny. And it contains the highest peak, Wysockie. So I hope you enjoy this little journey. It was a lot of fun. And I'll give you some previews of Nowy Sącz as well as Szczawnica. Some of these are tough to pronounce, but I hope you enjoy the video. Stay in touch.
Dzień dobry, and welcome to A Brit in Poland. This channel is going to bring you everything you need to know about Poland. I am exploring the country, bringing you the history, trying to tell you about the culture, and show you what it is really like to live here. So feel free to check out my other media, Instagram, Facebook, and I will share links to those in the comments. I also have a website, www.britlivinginpoland.com, where I collate my videos for easy to view manner. Also, you are welcome to contribute to my efforts through Patronite or Patreon, and all descriptions are available below the video. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and please come back for more by subscribing, liking, or commenting. Thank you very much. Do zobaczenia.
A big thank you to those that helped to support this channel. You helped me to buy better equipment and see more. But, okay, so as I was saying, we are heading to the south of Poland, right on the border with Slovakia. We went with a group of 20 people, and it was quite an interesting journey. So we were able to get a train from Warsaw down to Nowy Sącz, and one of the first things I loved on the train, other than the company, were these amazing views. It really felt like entering another world, and it's another part of Poland that has surprised me. So we started the journey in high spirits, maybe a little bit tired because we took an overnight train, and we carried our stuff over to our hostel, seeing this rather interesting looking church on the way. And yeah, so this is the hostel we were staying. We decided we were going to drop our bags off, make sure that we were comfortable, get some breakfast, which was, you know, your classic Polish fare, before heading off. So this is the route we took. That last little bit is actually the hike, that little loop there. It took us about an hour to get the bus from Nowy Sącz to a little town called Jaworki. We hired the bus because, well, the timings of the normal buses weren't quite right for us, and also they didn't come to this starting point. So this video, you will get to see a new piece of equipment in operation, which is my action camera. The footage may be a little bit shaky in parts, but certainly for when we're doing some of the climbing, it's really good. And these were the first sights we saw on the way. It was a very, very relaxing trail, lovely stream going through these incredible mountaintops. And like the terrain that we were seeing here, it's not like any other mountain range I've been to in Poland. And this is why it's important to explore the different ranges, because you get a completely different feel from each one that you go to. Where, of course, the Tatras are a lot rockier and Bieszczady is a bit smoother. This was kind of a slight mixture between the two. And yeah, we had a lot of fun. There were some slightly slippery rocks on the way up, where there was a little bit of ice and there'd been some rain. But most people got up without too much trouble. And it was from this point that things got a little bit trickier. One thing we found is there were quite a few sort of stairs and walkways in some of the trickier parts. So that was something that helped us. But as we're kind of getting to this area, we could find it getting a bit steeper going uphill. And this steepness uphill would carry on for a fair while, actually. It was also quite muddy in places, so we did struggle a little bit to get through. And of course our boots were caked in mud pretty quickly once we got to those really tough areas. We got to this lovely plateau where we could take a bit of a rest after a bit of a trek. You can see everyone's still made it at this point. And this was just a nice place to relax. We were quite tired already at this stage, but we were maybe at most a quarter into the route, so we had a fair amount to go. But we took some time to enjoy the views, and the higher we got, the better the views got. So it was quite lovely. But leaving the forest, we head back along the mountain trail. And this would prove to be one of the kind of most treacherous and difficult parts of the trail, because what we found was there was a lot of ice. And here you see me slightly failing, perhaps, but getting there in the end. That path there is pretty much, it's slippery as heck. So I had to kind of pull myself along with a handrail. And even then, as you can see, I ended up slipping around quite a lot. And there were some people that really struggled on this one and took quite a while to get up it. And some of the people were quite scared. I have to admit, we hadn't anticipated. And once I saw this lovely stretch without any handrail, I immediately put on my crampons because I knew I wasn't going to make it. The crampons made a big difference. So we're getting to the top now, and there was this optional peak. So this is Wysoka, or Wysoka, I always lose track. And we decided, okay, well, those that could, we proceeded up. And this is where it did get a lot tougher. It was quite challenging to get up some of these stretches. It wasn't really icy at this point. It was just very rocky. But, you know, what's a little mountain walk without some challenges here and there? So it took us a bit of time, and there were a few ladders. And that's me slipping again, which is spectacular. But in the end, well, not even in the end, along the way, there were a few viewpoints where we got some wonderful sights of the range. And here's the first one. So you just get to see this like endless landscape of mountains. So I think we were looking into Slovakia at that point. This is my friend Marta, who has been on most of our epic adventures. This path was particularly treacherous because it was completely icy. So without crampons, it was not recommended, especially as there was no guardrail along. So one wrong step and you could easily fall off the edge. And it was quite a drop over to the left. So a few people opted not to take this route. And then once you get to the peak, there was this other rocky exchange. So you can see people being very careful on here. It was very easy to slip. And I'm no experienced climber or anything. I've had some practice, but in the end, it wasn't too bad, but you had to kind of force yourself through it. I'm glad I did though, because it was, when you get to the actual top, which I think is about 1,050 meters above sea level, or just high, I don't know, I always lose track of these things. But once you get there, that's when you more or less get the best views of the entire range. And here you go. absolutely beautiful. This is why I love the mountains. It's a lot of work, but when you get to the top and you get to see these kinds of views, for me, that's the reward that you find. It's so relaxing. And we took a good few minutes just to soak it in and to, really savor the time that we had. And I learned something. At the top of these peaks, you have these stamps, basically, that you can collect. I think there are something like 30 of them in total in Poland. And you get some kind of award or something if you get them all. But you have to be registered. I don't think I'll ever hit all 30 peaks in Poland. But I did have a little notepad with me and I made sure to get my stamp. So we made our way down and reunited ourselves with the group. We had to help a few of the people who were still struggling on the icy patch and who were, let's say, quite disheartened. And we thought, we're going along the ridge, it would be easy, but no. We still had quite a few hills to climb on this blue trail. We started off on the green trail, by the way, and this is the blue trail we're following now. As you can see, people gingerly making their way down the mountain. But yeah, so we had a couple of more small peaks to ascend, which weren't too bad. I think if we hadn't have already been quite tired beforehand, they would have been quite easy. But after the ascent we'd done, yeah, for some people it was a struggle. And of course the rain coming in didn't help because the ground was already fairly muddy. But yeah. But finally we're kind of getting to this more straighter area. And we saw some proper snow, which we didn't see a lot of because even though we went in February, it was unusually warm. Probably about 9 degrees or something, which is crazy in Poland at this time of year. But we had this lovely long stretch that was relatively flat. And here's one of the kind of memorials, I assume, to fallen hikers, which is quite a common sight in these mountain ranges. And I have to admit, this bit should have been super easy, but even me who enjoys hiking, yeah, my legs were starting to give out. I had to sit down a couple of times to recover. Because we didn't take many breaks on this trek. And the trek was actually only 15 kilometers in total, but that doesn't really take into account the height. So we thought it was going to be a lot easier than it ended up being. But all in all, it was great fun. And yeah, in future trips, I definitely want to see the kind of the western part of these mountains. And that's slightly more famous part because you have this castle in Niedzyca, you have this really nice lake, and you have the Czechorony with all the the 3 crowns, or 3-pointed crown or whatever, which are the kind of the famous peaks for this mountain. But apparently the geology of this place is remarkable, and a lot of scientists are a bit bemused by it. We finally got to the end of the trail, and we were supposed to have a nice trail going down back to Świdnica, and we found a ski slope. Luckily, it was barely being used, and the person operating it told us that we could just trek down. And this is all artificial snow, which was a bit of a pain to walk through, but in the end was really good for cleaning our boots. So this is Świdnica, which is a beautiful place. And one of my only regrets from this journey is I didn't really get to do as much kind of city exploring because we were mainly focused on the mountain. And by the time we got to the city, we were pretty exhausted. And the only thing we really felt capable of doing was sitting down. So we trek over into the city, and what we did was we got to the center, saw this rather interesting squirrel, and we found a cafe. So I pretty much downed a beer, and then maybe had another couple of beers, and I had this lovely szarlotka, or apple pie with ice cream and whipped cream was needed. I was thinking to include a lot of stuff from Nowy Sącz where we stayed in this video, but I would like to do a separate video on this, so this will be something coming in the future. I didn't get to see as much of the city as I would like to. It's kind of split into 3 parts, and even though we covered quite a lot of the main part, there were a lot of interesting sites that I didn't get to, so I'm definitely going to come back to Nowy Sącz and cover this in a lot more extensive detail. So these are just a few, let's say, teaser clips ahead of a future video. But all in all, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you feel encouraged to see the Pieniny Mountains. And thank you for watching. Do zobaczenia. Oh, please like and subscribe. Pa pa.